Ian, we have a Patreon.
Yeah, we do. Patreon.com/CU podcast.
Are you upset we have a Patreon?
No. I just, you go. You give us some money, which is nice of you.
You asked for it.
And then we do a full video podcast, bonus bits.
The bonus.
Writing by me most weeks. And then
monthly Google Hangout.
We had Hangouts.
We'll do that in a week and a half.
Yeah, because we're both out of town this weekend.
And then you vote on these.
You vote on these polls.
I'm going to pull you through the fucking glass shards to get through it.
Yeah. Some days I get it.
In second place, how is gaming on the New Jersey Boardwalk different in 2022? 29%, almost won last week. But we have a more modern topic, or at least topic that's in the news. We're analyzing the all-new Commodore 64x Kickstarter. So this was alerted to us in the past couple of days. And I didn't know this was happening. And before I get into this, and we're going to be probably a little critical of this, this already hit its goals. Yep. So they smashed through it. The goal was 30,000, and then they've had 165,000 with 12 days ago. Whatever we say is not going to affect it at all. I know that there's a love for the Commodore. Probably a little bit more in Europe than here, but still here. There's a love for the Commodore. And there's been Commodore Mini has come out the past, 3-4 years? The Commodore Mini came out. I saw one for sale at Too Many Games, right, with built-in games. And there's been people trying to do these like projects like this, like shells, because people love the original shell. They love the clicky clacky keys, and it's a cute little form factor for a Commodore 64.
Yeah,
it's cute. This is one of the first computers I used. Our computer lab, somehow someone donated all Commodore 64s in my Catholic school. I don't know why, but we had Commodore because they were cheaper overall than XTs. That probably was why, partially.
Yes.
But I played Lemonade Game. We learned how to program. We learned how to type on a Commodore 64. So while I didn't grow up with one, I respect the people that did. Great gaming platform, and all that. So this has a few different things on this, Ian.
So yeah, I do want to point out that this was I just saw this. This originally came out in 2011.
The original concept with a shell.
Yes, and it was running Ubuntu 10.0, so it was running Linux.
Okay.
And now they're bringing it back. They say, back better than ever. So what this is essentially a nice shell, and it does look like a nice shell.
Yeah.
And they've put the money in. They're using Cherry MX switches. It looks like the keys are nice. It's going to be clicky. But it's running what seems to be, basically netbook specs is how you put it, and I think that's pretty accurate. Maybe it's slightly more powerful.
Well, they claim that this could emulate consoles up to the year 2000.
Okay.
So when you hear that, you're like, that's netbookish.
Sure.
You can probably do N64, but you're gonna feel it. It's gonna be rough.
The price on this is nuts. So just the shell alone, which you can buy, and then basically put your own board in.
You can put it. It says it can support Raspberry computer module. You can whatever you can probably fit in, whether motherboard you can fit in. It comes with a fan as well.
Yeah, $169 USD.
Okay, so you get the shell, you get your keys.
Expensive, but if it's a nice shell, and like I said, when we were talking last night about it, the mechanical keyboards themselves, nice ones, are not super cheap. So, look at the cost in that. The mechanical keyboard, not so bad. It's when they start adding the guts to this thing.
So that has 110 backers. Right now, that has 110. So that's the early bird, by the way. The early bird is 169. Then, like you said, you go up from there. So the early bird Commodore 64X Extreme. This is an entry-level PC in a Commodore 64 style case. You don't need to build a thing. It's all done for you. It can pretty much, this is what it says, it can pretty much run any modern PC application, surf the web, watch 4K films, TV, and even install Windows 11, play retro games, and it's powerful enough to emulate systems up to 2000. Gives you an idea of what this is, what the graphics card capability is, built into the motherboard, things like that.
Commodore OS Vision will give the user the opportunity to run original Commodore 64 games and applications. So it sounds like it's probably a proprietary emulator.
Passively cooled Intel Celeron J6412. I looked that up, Ian. I talked to you on the phone breaking the fourth wall. The MSRP on the chip is $54. That's consumer price on there. And then I'm not familiar with what board it has. I couldn't find that, but it also has a 250 gigabyte solid state hard drive, and I looked that up, and that's about $50.
And then
for that.
4 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM, probably not a whole lot.
Expandable to 8 gig. It sounds kind of like the VCS because that was expandable. That was my first thought when I saw this.
Sure.
This is like the VCS. It sounds like it's in that realm.
Yep, it does. It's basically a hobbyist computer that you can do, you can stream on, emulate some stuff, get a few games. And I mean, honestly, not more pricey than the Atari VCS. That's kind of crazy.
$569 for the early bird. Here.
And it goes up pretty exponentially. With the ultimate. Yeah, with the ultimate.
So they have the Extreme, which is, like you said, this is the Atari VCS. You're not going to be running Cyberpunk on this probably, or something like that. But you'll be able to emulate most consoles, and obviously the Commodore 64, you don't need anything. And so this one has, how many backers does this had? That had less backers. That had only 9 on that one, on the Extreme.
So
only 9.
There's only 9 backers on the Extreme. There's 110 backers on the case, and then there's
plus 214. You go to the bare bones, yeah.
And then there's the Ultimate. Heavy duty. Okay, so there's the Ultimate, which only has 21 backers, but makes sense because why would you, if you're already going to spend more than you should on something like this, you're going to want the more powerful version.
It's divided up.
You've clearly got money to burn.
There's like 320 for just the case. For Extreme, there's about 80 if you combine both.
Okay.
And then let's talk about the Ultimate, which they have 38 plus, scrolling up to the early 38 plus 21. So they have 60.
The Ultimate will emulate systems up to 2010, it says. It also has a GTX 1650 graphics chip embedded on the motherboard, which means fantastic AAA gaming, 3D rendering, and pretty much any other graphical intense application you can think of. I'm going to doubt that.
The fact that it's not its own graphics card and it's integrated, I know some of the laptops have more powerful ones, but even those...
Oh, my laptop has a GTX 3080. My laptop runs shit at like PS5 levels.
Is it integrated?
No, it's separate. It's
okay.
separate.
So this is where I kind of scratch my head at this point, because I can picture wanting the case, put in your Raspberry Pi. You just want to play Commodore stuff.
Yeah,
like, that's it.
I think that's actually pretty cool.
For $170, okay, I gotcha. The medium-sized one, if you don't want to... If you're a hobbyist, or if you don't want to put in your own Raspberry Pi or your own little mini Android board or whatever, or a little mini netbook board, I get it. Do it for me, and it's, what is it, $570. Still expensive. It's still probably overpriced, but you're taking care of the work for me. But now when you get to this level where you're spending $1,425 for, by comparison, something that's going to be a lot less powerful than a rig that would cost that much, that's where I kind of scratch my head about, what is this?
Yeah, man.
What is this at this point? Because it's an Intel Core i5. You get the NVIDIA GTX 1650 graphics. It's built in. It's probably better than my old what obviously my netbook has. You get still only 4 gigs of RAM, expandable to 64. I'm sorry, you get 8 gigs of DDR. You get 4. Okay, you get a 500 gig solid state. That's not that much more than the 256 one. That's not going to cost that much more. So this is the one I scratch my head, not just for the cost, but like, who actually wants this? Like what's the audience? And obviously there's 80 people that want this, because now you're talking about the form factor of something from the 80s, cute and clicky clacky, but I want to be able to play newer games on here and have this be like, I just don't understand it. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. It's 8 gig of DDR4 on this.
What I want to point out, while we're talking about this, is when I initially saw this, I thought this was going to be more like something that I actually think is really kind of cool. And that's the ZX Spectrum Next.
Okay.
So the Spectrum, was a very popular computer overseas. And what the Spectrum Next is it's actually they say it's still an 8-bit home computer that will still run the original software, and you can still use the original hardware on it, which is pretty interesting. I think it's an FPGA console.
For the ZX Spectrum?
Yes. Started life, blah, blah, blah. Next, industrial design. The case is really nice. So yeah, I can't quite tell here on the Wikipedia page, but I think there's multiple FPGA cores, and I think it's probably running an FPGA core for the Spectrum. And it is, it's expensive.
It's sold out. Looks like it's out of stock.
It sells out every time they do them because people love them.
But it was less money.
Yeah.
Than the medium-sized Extreme. It was 300 pounds.
Right, which is honestly, for what it is, pretty cool. And, the idea behind it was they wanted to, kind of appeal to, it says right here, retro computing enthusiasts and to encourage a new generation of bedroom coders. And that's when I see people like, I think, Dylan Cuthbert from Q Games, and I want to say maybe Mike Mika, and a couple other people that I follow online have these. And there is like a robust, like new, like, hobbyist coding scene online.
So this is more this is more in sort of line with the spirit of the time and the coding language and the
it's literally a remake of the original computer with extra bells and whistles.
Sure, and it's $200 less.
Yeah, and this is something that I think is very interesting. If Commodore had gone for that, I was telling you yesterday, if Apple were to release something like this that was an Apple II, I would buy it no matter what.
Well, here's the thing, though. This isn't Commodore. They're trying to get the Commodore license.
Right.
So that's the difference, I think. It's sort of like, well, I was, I'm more of a glorified hobbyist enthusiast that's into producing these. I can make them, and now I'll go out to the Commodore people and get the rights to it. So it's coming from a different, I think, space because of that.
Oh, sure. I just wish that's what I had seen.
Oh, sure. No, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Like, I look at this and I'm like, well, what's the difference? You can make this without the Commodore print on it and just put out the case. And the keys.
Right.
That's the way I see it.
Its connection to the original Commodore is tenuous.
It's gone.
Yeah.
It's just the form factor.
Like
the VCS.
The Spectrum Next actually did pretty well too. 3,010 units sold from the first Kickstarter.
3,000?
They sold 3,010 plus units.
Wow.
In the first Kickstarter, 3,010, that number is the cased ones. So they were selling boards initially too.
Gotcha.
And then the second Kickstarter, 5,000 plus on the ZX Spectrum Next. I'm telling you, people love this.
I think we missed talking about that at the time because we talked.
I wish I had known because
we talked about the handheld and how that turned into a disaster.
Yeah, but I think that was different people doing it.
That was like 8 years ago.
If I had money to burn, I would buy one of these. I think it's cool. I would never get very far with it, but I would love playing the homebrew projects, and it would be fun to
load
explore.
Up the emulator or a Dino emulator if it has FPGA.
And it would be fun for me to experience a home computer system that I never got to touch.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful,
they're gorgeous.
The colors, the multicolors of the black. It's beautiful.
I do want one.
No, they look great.
It's really cool.
I got the smaller, little Timex Sinclair in my garage at the swap meet. I never saw the big one before. I saw like the mini one. So it's not to disparage this project too much, but it just shows you like the different spaces there. And the fact that you said they sold like that many, like 8,000.
5, 6, 7, 8, 8,010, 8,010 without accounting for loose boards, which I don't know if they did that in the second run.
Gotcha. So I think this, like I said, this is interesting, but again, I'm not sure what the audience is because if you want the games, just buy the mini. Even though you're not using the keyboard. I do like the idea of the case, like we said, or even the medium one, even though it's probably overpriced. I really wonder how much the licensing costs. How much is the licensing into this freaking $1,400 one? How much is having that Commodore, literally just the logo on there? How much is that accounting for? Because that's all the connection is. I will say I do like the little on the side you can slide in a little SATA hard drive. Quick and easy.
Yeah, I think the Commodore one has a built-in solid state, and you can add a SATA.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So they all have the built-in. Well, the two do. The medium and the large ones do. The medium, large, the extreme and the ultimate do. But yes, either way, you can click it in probably into the board, and it's like quick and easy. I do like that idea. Do that because obviously, the SATA boards can hold. They're a lot cheaper. The SATA versus the solid state flash drives. They're a lot cheaper. So all right. Well, either way, they made their goal, and best of luck. I almost bought the like I said, the mini one with the Wiko joystick.
I know
almost
people
bought
who
it.
have it and said it was pretty fun.
It's fine just to play the Commodore games. That, I didn't grow up on it.